Hello, this is Frau Dorothea of Holm from the Barony of Ramshaven, and I have a story for you. It's inspired by a story called The Devil's Holiday, which can be found at the English Heritage YouTube channel. My version involves the people of Ramshaven. Now you see, the devil works hard. He works hard to ensure that people sin and are properly punished for those sins. And one day he decided that he would come up from hell and traverse the lands of the Barony of Ramshaven, eavesdropping on people, spying on them, seeing what sort of sins and temptations and other things that they were getting up to, so that he could properly plan for the future. He started his journey in the Canton of Bryniau Tywynnog. And when he first got there, starting to spy on people and starting to eavesdrop on their conversations, he noticed that everyone was avoiding him. And of course, they could tell he was the devil. He had the devil horns, he had the black shaggy hair, he had the red skin, the tail, the goat legs, and of course, the little hoofies. So the first order of business, he thought to himself, was to get himself a cloak, a fine cloak, a cloak that would cover him from top of his tippy little horns to the bottom of his tippy little hooves. And he thought, and he's like, I need the finest tailor in Bryniau Tywynnog. And the finest tailor in Bryniau Tywynnog is, of course, the Lady Emer. So he goes to the Lady's Emer's place, and when he gets there, he knocks on the door, and she answers it, and she's like, excuse me, what can I do for you? And she's trying to keep her composure. She's trying to be, her normal, calm, caring self, but she could see the devil horns. She could see the shaggy black mane. She could see the dark red skin and the tail and the goat legs and the goat hooves. Well, said the devil, I need you to make me a cloak. The finest cloak you can possibly make, and in as short as time as possible. The Lady Emer's like, I'm sorry, but no. Why ever not? She's like, I don't really feel comfortable making a cloak for the devil. And the devil's like, but I have something that you want and you need. Well, what is that? Says the Lady Emer. And the devil reaches into his goat legs, into a furry pocket he has there somehow. He is magical. He's the devil. And he pulls out a big, fat stack of cash in 50s and 20s and 10s. Thousands of dollars. He's like, all of this money can be yours. You can use it to purchase all sorts of materials and fabrics and the finest in silk threads and linen threads, needles and machines to help you sew, and anything and everything your heart desires. And it took a little while. Emer is a strong person, but she did have a lot of expenses, and that money would certainly help. And after all, it was only a cloak. So eventually, she agreed to help. And in the quickest time possible, with the best fabric she had on hand, she whipped up a cloak for the devil. It covered his horns, it covered all of his body right down to the tip of his hooves. It was voluminous, it was beautiful, and the devil loved it. Thank you, he said. Here's your money. And he put the stack of cash on a table and walked out. Of course, as soon as he walked out and the Lady Emer went to pick it up, it just dissolved into her hands, into little scrap bits of useless fabric and the ends of sewing thread and broken and bent needles and, of course, Monopoly money. The devil had tricked her. The devil continued on his way, listening in on people, eavesdropping, watching them, seeing what they were up to. And nobody noticed that he was the devil, and he got lots of good information. So he wandered off, and he left Bryniau Tywynnog behind, and he made his way to the Canton of Welfengau. Now, by the time he got there, he had worked so hard, and he was so hot, and he was so thirsty, and his tummy was rumbling. So he thought to himself, and he thought to himself, and he's like, who are the finest hospitality people in all the land? And of course, there's only one answer. That would be the Baron and Baroness Lucia and Penn de Moranza. So he made his way to their abode, and he knocked on their inn door, and the Baron Penn opened and looked at his visitor. I'm sorry, he said, but we're closed. The plague, And the devil laughed, and he flung back the hood of his cloak, and he opened it up and showed himself in all of his glory, from the tip of his horns, to his shaggy black mane, to his red skin, to his tail, to his goat legs, and his little goat feet. "Oh," said Penn, "well, that definitely were closed." And the devil said, No, it's okay. Your tales of your bacon and your sausages and all of the cured meats and the pies that you make, they have reached us all the way down into hell." "Oh, thank you," said the Baron, not entirely sure he was, thankful for that. And of course, the Baroness Lucia's ales and beers and other concoctions. Oh, what I wouldn't give for one of her fine ales. Of course, Lucia's ears perked up at that, and not knowing who her husband was talking to, she came around the corner and saw the devil, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I don't think we have anything for you." The devil sniffed. He's like, "I can smell something in the smoker right now. Besides," and he reached into that magical pocket of his in his legs, and he pulled out a fat stack of cash, all 50s and 20s and 10s, thousands of dollars worth. He said, "This money could buy you all sorts of equipment, all the processing equipment that you need, a cheese fridge, a better equipment to make your ales and beers with." He's like, "You could do all sorts of landscaping." And they thought about it, and they conferred with each other, and eventually, although they were strong people, their sense of hospitality won out, and they caved. "All right," says the Baron Penn, "but you can't come inside. Just go around back, sit underneath the canopy, and we'll bring you some food." So the devil did as he was told. He sat down, and soon enough, the Baroness Lucia came out with a big sandwich full of all sorts of different sliced meats, a slab of bacon, and a big old mug of her milk stout. Well, the devil ate, and he drank, and he was full, and he was satisfied, and he was happy. He left a stack of cash on the bench beside him and left. When Ben went to pick it up a few minutes later, of course, it dissolved. It turned into slimy off meat cuts and bits of that coagulated yeast in the bottom of a brewing vessel, and bits of slimy wool offcuts beyond repair, and of course, monopoly money. Well, they were bitterly disappointed, but that's what happens when you give in to the devil. The devil, being well satisfied with his beautiful cloak and his full belly, went on his way to the Canton of Northgeatham. Now, it was a long journey to get to Northgeatham, not a lot of stops along the way. So by the time he got there, his hooves were killing him. They were so sore. And he thought about it, and he's like, "I know what I need. I need a pair of horseshoes." Well, okay, goat shoes. So he thought and thought. And where was a blacksmith that he could find that would be capable of making such things? The Lord Penda. So he took himself off to Lord Penda's farm, and he made his way into the forge, and there Lord Penda was, working away, making all sorts of beautiful iron implements. And the devil said to him, "Greetings." Well, Lord Penda nearly jumped out of his skin. He turned around, and there was a stranger standing in his forge. "How can I help you, sir?" he said. Well, the devil flung back the hood of his cloak, and he opened it up, and Penda could see the horns, and the shaggy black hair, and the deep red skin, and the serpentine tail, and the goat legs, and the goat hooves. And he said to himself, "Oh my goodness, this is the devil. This can't be good." He recognized the Lady Emer's handiwork, and was worried about his friend being taken in. "Now," said the devil, "I have a full belly still from the Baron and the Baroness, but, well, I need a pair of shoes." "Oh dear," thought Penda to himself. "The poor Baron and Baroness have been taken in by the devil too." "Well," he said, "I don't make shoes." "Ah, but you do," said the devil. "I'm not looking for ordinary leather shoes. Oh, no, no, no. I am looking for a pair of horseshoes. Well, actually, goat shoes." And Lord Penda thought to himself, he's like, "Well, I don't really make horseshoes or goat shoes or any of that kind of stuff. And the devil said, you are an extremely talented gentleman. I'm sure you can figure it out. No problem. Penda thought about it some more. He said to himself, all right, you know what? I'll make you your goat shoes. And the devil's like, really? You don't want money? I can give you money. And he pulled in another fat stack of cash, full of 50s and 20s and 10s. And he's like, no, I have everything I need here. I don't need to buy anything else. The devil's like, you don't want power? I could make you the king of all of Ealdormere. And the Lord Penda said, no, if I'm going to be king, I'm going to be king by the strength of my own arms, not by some devilish patronage. The devil's like, well, I could get you a beautiful wife. Lord Penda laughed even harder. He's like, I'm already married to the Lady Sibylla. What more could I possibly want? But you'll do it anyways, said the devil. Of course, said Penda. Well, all right, but there is one catch, said the Lord Penda. He's like, what? Well, actually, two. Two catches. Yes. The first one is you have to let me tie you up. It's what's done with horses when they shoe them. They tie them tightly to a pole so that with the hammering and all of the activity around them, they don't shy and kick and wiggle and cause the shoe to go awry. The devil thought about it. Yeah, it seemed reasonable. I mean, he didn't think he was ticklish, but one never knows. I mean, who tries to tickle the devil? And the second, well, said Penda, the second thing is that in exchange for this, you'll leave me alone. You won't do any harm to myself, to my beautiful lady wife, or to any one of mine. Not to this forge, not to our farm. No harm at all, no matter what happens. The devil's like, well, that's easy. Sure, no problem. And he readily agreed. So, Penda got a length of strong, stout rope, tied the devil to a pole, and got to work on making the goat shoes. And they didn't take that long because, well, they were sized for a goat, not a horse. And soon enough, he had a glowing, red-hot shoe. He looked at the devil, picked up one of his little goat hoofs, and started to pound away at it. Wow, the pain was excruciating. Shoes, iron shoes that is, aren't meant to be put on a hoof just straight out of the forge. They need to be quenched first. Penda hadn't done that. He had his hammer, he had his nails, all hand forged by himself, and he hammered in that shoe. All the while, the devil was screaming and screeching and twisting and turning and trying to get away. But the rope was too strong, and he was bound too tightly. What are you doing? The devil screamed. What are you thinking? But Penda didn't say anything. He went back to his forge, and he made another shoe. Soon enough, he took that shoe out of the fire and came back to the devil. And he grabbed the other hoof, and he started to pound that shoe on. Well, once again, the pain was excruciating. I mean, up till that point, the devil was feeling kind of at home with the heat of the forge and the humidity in the air. It felt a little like home, but this was torture. This is what he did to souls, not what souls did to him. But Penda didn't say a word, didn't listen to anything that the devil screamed out, and he just pounded those nails into that shoe onto his hoof. When he was done, he untied the devil, and the devil, hopping from foot to foot, from hoof to hoof, screaming and ranting and raging in pain, swore that he would take revenge on the Lord Penda, the Lady Sibylla, his farm, and all that was his. And the Lord Penda said, but you can't. I'm the devil. I can do whatever you want. Ah, but you made a promise, and whatever the devil promises must happen. And the devil was like, oh, I've been tricked. And he shook his fist at Penda. He's like, but at that point, he'd run out of words. Soon, he stormed out, stomping from one foot to the other, grunting and hissing in pain, until he was out of the forge and out of Lord Penda's life forever. It was true. He'd promised. And in fact, he was so enraged that from that day forward, anyone hanging a horseshoe would be free from the devil's attentions. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day.